Hi, my name's Gary Doyle from County Wexford in the Republic of Ireland, and these are my football memories.
So Gary, thanks for taking time to be with us today on the show.
No problem.
What's your first memory of football?
I think probably my first memory of football would have been in and around 1989, I think, and it would have been one of disappointment actually. I think Manchester United were going for the league title that year and they failed miserably. So that's probably my first memory. Really just Man United losing to Liverpool. So yeah, unfortunately my early memories are not good ones.
So you're obviously a Manchester United fan.
Yes, I am. If you haven't worked that out already, yeah.
And where did that come from? Where did that originate from?
My dad, pure and simple. My dad was a big United fan. He loved George Best, Bobby Charlton, Dennis Law, and he just loved watching those guys playing football. Got into Man United and didn't allow me to live in the house unless I did the same.
And do you remember the first ever match you seen? Be it in the stadium live or on the TV? Can you remember what that first game was?
Yeah, it would have definitely been on TV. I think I was 10 years old when I went to the stadium for the first time to watch a match. So I do remember football before then, and it would have been either watching the Republic of Ireland or watching United. But probably, I think the 1990 FA Cup final stands out to me because it was the first time I kind of remember a match where the result was a positive one. And I know that game went to a replay, but I don't remember the replay, but I remember the 3-3 draw and the sun and the FA Cup final and the lines cut into the grass and everything that the FA Cup kind of stood for. That just sticks out. And yeah, the original game was a 3-3 draw, I think, between United and Crystal Palace, and I remember that game vividly. So yeah, that'd be my first real kind of memory of football on TV.
And those were the glory days of the FA Cup. There was coverage all day long.
Exactly.
Did you used to sit down and watch it all day long?
Absolutely, yeah. I think, yeah, like you said, it used to start like in the morning. You'd just be, the whole day would be planning for the FA Cup final. It didn't really matter who was playing, even if it wasn't your team. Luckily, United used to reach the cup final a lot, but even if they didn't, I would always tune in. And yeah, it kind of lost its glimmer a little bit in that sense. So. Which is a pity, but yeah, those were the days.
And growing up watching Manchester United, getting to these cup finals and having these moments, who was your favourite player?
Without a shadow of a doubt, it would have been Eric Cantona. He would have been. I would have been probably 13 years of age walking around. If I didn't think I was Liam Gallagher, I thought it was Eric Cantona. The collar was up, the chest was out. Cantona was my favourite. But before then, I loved Mark Hughes. Loved Mark Hughes. My dad was a big fan, and I remember when the games used to be on kind of Radio 5 Live, you wouldn't really get them on the TV, and my dad would have a little Walkman sitting down, and I knew he was listening to the game, and he'd kind of he'd jump up when they scored and kind of wave his finger in the air, a la Mark Hughes celebration like that. And that was a really good early memory of the games. But yeah, Hughes, then Cantona, and then yeah, kind of that they'd be the two I'd go with, I think.
So you mentioned there maybe thinking you were Liam Gallagher. Did supporting Manchester City ever cross your mind?
Do you know something that I'm going to probably get a bit of stick for this, but I never really disliked Man City, maybe because they were never a threat. they were a team that often weren't in the same division as Manchester United. But to answer your question, no, I wouldn't have been allowed, would be the answer to that. But I also never despised City. I never kind of hated them. That was kind of reserved for one or two other teams maybe, but definitely not City. I wouldn't say I liked them, but I definitely didn't hate them.
So it was always Manchester United for you from a very early age all the way up to where you are now. There was never
Absolutely.
anyone else.
Yeah, no, never anyone else. I always liked watching the Republic of Ireland as well. But yeah, it was United, and I'm the kind of football fan who I'd watch football on telly, but I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it. Whereas if United are on, if I'm not looking at it or at the game, I'm checking my phone to see. I wonder what the score is.
And talking about watching the national team, any favourite memories from those games?
Yeah, Loads. I mean, the obvious ones would be, I do remember the 1990 World Cup, just about 94, bringing the TV out into the back garden, watching Ireland play in Italy, and having a barbecue, and obviously we won that game, and Paul McGrath, what a player, what a standout performance that day. But probably my fondest memory of watching Ireland, my uncle Kevin actually used to be kind of over the stewards. He kind of managed that thing, so he used to get us in, and we used to steward at the games, me and a couple of mates of mine. So probably the best memory there was, I remember qualification for the 2002 World Cup. Ireland played Iran in a playoff game to get to the World Cup. And yeah, I remember stewarding at that game and standing behind the goal. We were 1-0 up, and I think we got a penalty laid on. Robbie Keane scored it. And I think there's a video on YouTube, and you actually see me and my mate Alan, instead of standing facing the crowd doing our stewarding duties, you can literally see us jumping around behind the goal as Robbie Keane buries it into the back of the net and kind of sends Ireland away. So that's kind of one of the fun memories of Ireland for me.
And so would that goal be up there as one of your favourite goals that you've ever seen? What's a favourite goal that you can remember?
For Ireland, or just in general?
Anything,
Yeah.
in general.
I do remember, if we stick on the Ireland team, Jason McAteer. I think it was against Holland to bring us to, I think it was actually during that qualifying campaign, maybe for the 2002 World Cup as well, but I think it was a goal that knocked Holland out. And why it stands out for me is that I was actually in Slane that day. U2 were playing, and they put the game on the big screens before U2 come on, so we actually watched the match. And I remember as that goal went in, you had 80,000 people in Slane just erupting. So that was awesome. I've just been some United goals over the years. I remember a game when United were playing in the UEFA Cup, I believe, back in, I want to say 1995 maybe, and I think it was a case that Manchester United had never lost at home in Europe in a European game, and they were 2-1 down to a team called Rotor Volgograd, and next thing, in the 89th minute, up came Peter Schmeichel and made it 2-2 with a header from a corner, and I just remember losing it. So that was fun, and kind of a bit of an off the wall one that not a lot of people might remember, but a bit of a deep cut maybe, that one.
And would that be up there at one of your favourite games as well?
Yeah, I don't remember much about the game other than Schmeichel kind of scoring in the last minute, because for me as a kid it was like, wow, a goalkeeper scored. That's something that you just don't normally see. But favourite games, this mightn't go down too well with the interviewer, but I remember against Aston Villa, I happened to be at a game. Federico Makeda scored with the last kick. He was a young kid at the time. That was pretty memorable because I was at the game. But probably the most amazing moment or goal when I've been at a game in Old Trafford was probably Liverpool legend Michael Owen scoring into the Stretford end for United to make it 4-3 against Man City. I was literally stood right behind the goal that he buried that into, and I think the 98th minute, it was back when they used to just keep playing till United won, I think. But Mark Hughes, actually, who we mentioned earlier, was managing Man City that day, and I remember him being quite upset with the amount of injury time that was being played, and Fergie just smirking as the goal went in. But Old Trafford felt like the foundations of the place shook when that ball went into the back of the net, so that was probably the biggest moment that I can think of anyway, off the top of my head, that stands out.
So you look very happy talking about that, and obviously football has its highs and lows. So what's a painful memory from football?
There's been a lot lately as a Man United fan and as an Ireland fan, probably too many than I can kind of care to remember, but recently losing the Champions League final is always a killer. Like, United they've lost a few. I remember 2 anyway to Barcelona, and kind of they weren't actually that bad because you're running into a team that is just unstoppable anyway. That Barcelona team, all football fans will remember. 08, I think we played. 09, we played them in Rome in the final, and we didn't get a kick of the ball. And United were quite a good team at that stage. Tevez up front with Ronaldo and frightening team, but we couldn't lay a glove on them. And it was the same 2 years later, I think in 2011. It was a similar story in Wembley when they beat us 3-1. But so that they were painful memories. But probably the worst was the final of the UEFA, the Europa League as it is now. I beg your pardon. Penalty shootout. I think we played Villarreal. It was a couple of years ago, maybe 2021, I think. But the game was atrocious. United were atrocious, and they eventually lost on penalties. I think it was like 14-15 or something. It just went on all night, and in the end, David De Gea missed the penalty, and that was a bitter pill to swallow that night, I can tell you.
In terms of match day experiences, when you've been at a live match, what's the best atmosphere you've ever witnessed? Not even necessarily to follow Man United, but in total, in your life. There's something, I'm not a big fan of rugby, but anytime I've been kind of gone to a rugby game, there's always seems to be a big atmosphere generated at kind of Six Nations games and stuff. That's always really impressive. But in terms of I used to watch a lot of kind of League of Ireland football. Me and my mates would kind of go down that route, and we got really into, obviously being from Wexford, we Wexford Youths were the team that we all supported, and we got really behind them. And probably in 2015 they went on a charge for the kind of a title charge, which culminated in them winning the title. And that was just, that was up there with any last minute goal from Michael Owen or anyone. It was phenomenal, because these were local guys who we got to know, including the manager, and we really got behind that team, and it was a special bond. And probably the best experience in football was seeing Wexford Youths actually lift the League of Ireland First Division title. It was really, really good. I couldn't speak highly enough of that particular football memory. It was phenomenal. And yeah, I'd probably go with that. I'd probably go League of Ireland, grassroots, 2,000 people, but they're all there for one reason, and it creates a real atmosphere. And talking of grassroots and lower levels of football, do you play yourself? Have you played in the past? Not really. Yeah, I played when I was a kid. Played for Wicklow Town, and not to any level or standard. And yeah, as I got older, then I kind of discovered wine and other vices that kind of kept me away from playing football. And actually had a bad injury, and came off my motorbike actually, and my motorbike scooter. So that put a stop on the football career that wasn't really going anywhere anyway. But yeah, no, 5-a-side with the lads, played for probably 10 years, just 5-7-a-side kind of stuff, here in Gorey, and so enjoy playing it, but not any standard. Terrible footballer. Have you ever had the chance to meet a player or coach that you admired? Yeah, I actually met a player who I went on to admire greatly, but when I met him, I didn't even realise who he would go on to become. So there's a funny story if we have time. So actually my first time going to Old Trafford, my dad brought me over. I was 10 years of age. It was September 1993. Manchester United against Swindon Town, who, believe it or not, yes, used to be in the Premier League. We went to the game. We were to pick up tickets that had been arranged for us, and then we went in to collect them. Tickets weren't there. So the first person we met at the reception was a lady called Kath Phipps, who Lord rest her, she passed away recently, and anyone who knows anything about Manchester United will know she's actually a legend of the club. Ferguson speaks incredibly highly of her, as do all the players. But the first thing Kath said to us was, when we explained we'd come over from Ireland and our tickets seemingly hadn't arrived, said, look, at the end of the day, if it all goes astray and your tickets don't arrive, I'll sort you out. Which I think is phenomenal to think now. If that were to happen, it's just all on phones and scanning, and there was that human interaction. But anyway, I digress. So Kat was going to look after us anyway. But as we were sitting on the wall outside the reception of Old Trafford, two guys, really young lads, in Manchester United tracksuits rocked up to collect their tickets actually. So my dad sent me over and said, get their autographs. They might be famous someday. So I went over, we got their autographs, and we were sitting down. There was another fella beside us, and he said, we kind of asked him, two scribbles on a page. I didn't know who the hell they were, like, but your man said to me, "Oh no, they're really up and coming, decent academy players. The first guy who you spoke to, his name was Nicky Butt, and the other fella is David Beckham." So I actually met them and didn't realise. And as God is my witness, 2 seconds later, thronged by lots of people, Sir Bobby Charlton walked by to the reception area, and I again stood up. My dad, I stood up. My dad pushed me towards him. "Get his autograph. We definitely know who he is." And it was a bit like a parting of the waves. So there was like, he was thronged by people, and he was just kind of rushing to get to reception, possibly to collect his tickets for the game as well. Although I assume his face was his ticket for the game back then. But he saw me at the back of this crowd of people and just stopped and kind of ushered them out of the way and said, "Young lad, come here." Called me over, signed my book, said, "How are you getting on?" I said, "Oh, my first time at Old Trafford." To be honest, I didn't really know who he was. It was my dad who had pushed me over towards him. But took the time, knelt down, spoke to me, and just said, "Look at son, just keep coming back. Keep coming back to see the Reds and enjoy watching them." So I just thought, between meeting Kath Phipps, David Beckham, Nicky Butt, and Sir Bobby Charlton, and actually I got a feel of it was a real family club, and that's probably, United has kind of gone maybe in a different direction and kind of lost that a little bit. But this show is about memories, so that's definitely one of my fondest.
Well, it's touching on what I was going to ask you next, and that is, how do you think football has changed since you first started watching football?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it absolutely has. I think that's one of the big ones. Is that football clubs now are no longer football clubs, whether it's the mighty Manchester United, who only, like, 1993 isn't that long ago, but back then it was like, a lady behind reception saying, "Well, these two guys have come over from Ireland and they've been left stuck, and I'll sort you out, don't worry." I just couldn't imagine that happening now, and that's because, and it's not just Man United, every club has become a juggernaut, a business, a YouTube channel, an entity. It's all the social media. It's the whole machine that goes behind it, and I think they've lost all that. Don't get me started on the actual football on the pitch, because we'd be here all night. That has, of course, changed. Some things for the better. I suppose with elements of VAR and stuff are certainly adding to the game, but there's other parts of it that are just ruining it. But I don't think that's a route you want me to go down. But I think probably
we don't have enough time.
No, we don't have enough time. So what I would say is a club like Man United, you would think is such a big juggernaut, used to actually be a real kind of family orientated club, and I think that's maybe being lost a little bit in the Premier League clubs now.
Okay. And so, just as we come towards the end now, if you could relive one football moment, what would it be and why?
I think it'd have to be the 1999 European Cup final. It was the most amazing, for me as a United fan, it was the most amazing ending to a game that I've ever seen. Others might argue, and it's probably there's a bias there, but for me, I'd never seen anything like it. For my team to do that, I think I was 14 or 15 at the time, so I was a bit down. We were losing. The treble was gone. It was all gone belly up, shall we say. And to turn it around like that, two substitutes coming on the pitch, 90 minutes were up, the game was over, and not only did they draw in the end, they got it. But so that moment probably has never been surpassed. And if I could relive something again, if I could hope for Manchester United to even get back to the Champions League, that would be a start. But that was incredible. I think we'll never see the likes of it again.
Gary Doyle, thank you for your time and thank you for sharing your football memories.
No problem. Pleasure.